Hey, so I want to tell you a story, while we've got the time. So I have a story about winding up on stage with the Alman Brothers at the Jazz and Heritage Festival in New Orleans back in '96, drinking beer. So here's the story. So back in '96, I went down to New Orleans with a group of friends from Memphis, and we wound up that if you know anything about the Jazz and Heritage Festival, it's a huge festival. It's held, I think, on some old horse racing tracks or grounds. I think big track, with a center field area in which all sorts of bands, will play. So we wound up seeing the Alman Brothers one Saturday afternoon, it seems, and there were probably about 10 or 11 of us, and a group of guys, essentially, maybe one or two gals, but essentially dudes. And so it wound up being concert by committee. We all would go to the same places. We would all go get jambalaya at the same time. We'd all go get beers at the same time. We'd all go to the restroom at the same time. And if you know anything about me, you know, I'm an only child. I like to run around on my own a little bit. I need my own space. So I wound up telling my friends, hey, Alman Brothers are about to start. You guys stay right here. Is this where you're going to be? Yeah, this is where we're going to be. Well, all right, I'm going to wander around a little bit. Well, where are you going? I don't know where I'm going, but I'm just going to wander around a little bit. So, like I said, it's on a racetrack, an oval, old horse racetrack. And so I went over to the edge of the racetrack and started walking around the back edge. And when you got to the back edge, now there was certainly riot fencing or that security gate fencing that locks together in little 8-foot increments back behind the main stage where the Alman Brothers were about to start. Now you could see their families, you could see the trailers, you could see the caterers, you could see all the backstage stuff. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? It's kind of cool to have that perspective. And so I look up ahead of me on this path, on this abandoned racetrack, and I see that one of the sections of gate has come undone by about 8 or 9 inches. And I was younger then, and I was thinner then. I was probably about 26 or so. I was wearing some camo pants, I believe. I probably had a black t-shirt on, knowing me, and some sort of bandana or hat or something, I don't know. But as it turns out, I kind of looked like one of the roadies. And when I saw that gap in the gate, I thought, my goodness, if I was just to walk right on one side of the gate and turn my hips, slide in, I'd be on the inside of the backstage gate for the Alman Brothers. So without skipping a beat, that's just what I did. And I find myself in the fenced-in backstage area of the Alman Brothers. And I realize everyone's got these tags or these stickers on their shirts saying that they have VIP pass. So I take my shirt off and I stuff it in my pocket. And I look kind of like a roadie at this point, except that my shirt's off and you can't necessarily see my tag, So I wander a little bit closer and I get kind of near some of the trailers and I'm hanging out and the music starts. And then I walk a little closer to the stage and I see there's some steps leading up to the back of the stage. And I think to myself, my goodness, if I play cool, if I act like I belong here, I could probably just walk right up those stairs and be on stage with the goddamn Alman Brothers. So, being cool, taking my time, not stepping on anyone's toes, not being uncool, I just walk bit by bit up the stage, and at a point I'm standing on the stage with the Alman Brothers right in front of me, and then 30,000 people at the Jazz Fest. I don't know that it's 30,000. I don't know exactly how many it's, but it's a ton of people. And so I'm standing at the back of the stage, and I'm kind of leaning up on one of the amplifiers, and I'm acting like I belong there, and I'm not dancing or going crazy, but in my head I'm going crazy. I'm thinking, this is nuts. Well, I look up, And off to one side of the stage, where Greg Allman's piano always is, and where Greg Allman always was, I should say, I see that there's a cooler of beer sitting there, or it's a cooler, and it's the Miller Lite stage at the Jazz Festival. So it's a Miller Lite colored cooler, and it says G. Allman on the side, and it's right behind his piano by about 5 or 6 feet, like the length of an adult, essentially. And there's a big fan there, blowing air, so it'll be real cool for Greg. And he's sitting there at the piano. Well, I let 2 or 3 songs play, and I'm standing there at the back of the stage, and then bit by bit, I think, I'm going to go sit on that cooler. And so confidently as I could, I walked right over there. I sat down on the cooler. I act like I belonged there. I looked down, sure enough, G. Allman on the thing. I kind of lift the cooler lid while sitting on it, and I look down, it's full of like 36 beers. So I grab 3. I stick 1 in each cargo pocket. I grab 1 for myself. I pop it open. And I watch the rest of the Alman Brothers show right there from that stage for the rest of the afternoon, including a 30-minute whipping post encore. And this is still when Dickie Betts was with the band. It was really incredible. It was the original lineup for the most part. Yeah, I can't remember exactly if I think it was the original lineup. Best I know. So either way. So then, show ends. I get off stage. I walk out the back. I find my group of friends. And they say, "Oh man, that was a great concert. We had the best view. We were like 100 yards back. Where were you?" And I said, "Well, I was sitting on Greg Allman's cooler, drinking Greg Allman's beer, with Greg Allman's fan blowing my," I guess I had short hair then, hair in the winds, and free beers, air-conditioned view, essentially. It was probably the best seat I'll ever have at a concert. That's my story.